we, the Department of BBA of St. Aloysius University, feel ecstatic to welcome our esteemed panelist to Sangatya, our special program on the occasion of Women's Day celebration. Dr. Malini is an illustrious academician and a multifaceted personality. She is a former Associate Professor of English and HOD and current guest faculty member at St. Agnes Center for PG Studies and Research. She is known for her eloquent communication skills and a stalwart in Toastmasters Club, and presently the president of prestigious Port Town Advanced Toastmasters. As a resource person, she has touched the minds and hearts of numerous listeners. She is actively involved with several social organizations and bestowed with many accolades. Her elegant dance moves, her skills as a choreographer, MC, scriptwriter, motivational speaker, and most significantly, her role as a proud mother make us admire her with immense appreciation. Currently, she is serving as principal of Swastika National Business School. Mrs. Rochelle Fernandez is an ace compeer of Mangalore with 12 years of experience in the field. She has been a TV presenter, corporate show host, and renowned for her compeering in family social events. Her love for music, drama, and dance have resulted in bringing out her bubbly and rejoiceful nature. She has worked as an early childhood educator at the Bharat Academy and now supports her family business SpeedX Locks and Key Services. At this moment, she is focusing on the joys of motherhood as she is blessed with her son, Johan Fernandez. John Fernandez is a dynamic and dashing alumnus of St. Aloysius institutions. Pursued all formal education from primary school to MBA in St. Aloysius, John is a successful entrepreneur and co-owner of SpeedX Key Solutions. As a director of SpeedX Mentorship Solutions, he has helped many to overcome the challenges of life. As a former coach of St. Aloysius basketball team, John served this institution for 12 years. We extend a warm welcome to all our panelists, and we are looking for an enriching session.
Hello everyone. We have planned something different, and first question we got was, do we need one particular day to celebrate Women's Day? Because all days belong to them. Then we thought perhaps they don't need it, but we men and boys do need one day to acknowledge their services, selfless services. The format of this discussion will be the opening remarks for a few minutes will be given by three of our panelists. All three of them are given three different topics, and then followed by the Q&A session. So first, let me request Dr. Malini to begin with her opening remarks. We have asked her modern girl, a trend setter, as her topic.
Thank you, Manoj. For multiple reasons, I need to thank you. First of all, for inviting me here to be your panelist. It's a great honor. It's Wordsworth who said that it's great to be young anywhere in the world. I always feel it's equally great to be with the young anywhere in the world. And it gives me immense pleasure to be with your students. And thank you for the opportunity. And thank you for that lovely introduction. I think for the first time I sat and enjoyed my own introduction. All right. So you have taken immense pains to present such an introduction. I'm sure that none of you got bored when we were introduced. Did you get bored? You didn't get bored only because of the format of the introduction, right? If you were to be introduced with the biodata or resume that we sent to Manoj, I'm sure that none of you would have remembered anything and you would have been bored, but now he has overcome those two stumbling blocks by giving you this kind of introduction. Thank you also for that meaningful prayer that you presented to all of us. Aigiri Nandini. I'll talk about that maybe in the question answer session about the relevance of this kind of symbolic representation of women or a kind of tokenism that we take recourse to when it comes to the question of women's empowerment. But to begin with, shall I ask all of you to make that love sign? Love sign. Don't get puzzled. Yes, and show it to anyone of your choice. Anyone. Okay. Manoj turned this side and quickly turned that side. He found somebody more attractive that side. Doesn't matter. I forgive you that. All right. Okay. I asked you to come up with that sign. Should I stand and talk? Because I think some of them can't see me. And although I'm not as palatable as others on the days, I would like to look at all of you. I asked you to come up with that sign because that is the sign that is taken for this year's. All right. Okay. But perhaps my voice sometimes is more pleasant than my appearance. So if I go that side, you just capture my voice, okay? So that's the sign that they have come up with for Women's Empowerment, Women's Day, International Women's Day. And do you know the theme of International Women's Day for this year, 2024? Anybody? It says, invest in women, accelerate progress. Invest in women, accelerate progress. But the problem is that they themselves acknowledge, UN acknowledges that there would be a deficit of $350 billion every year if you have to strive for gender equality. So what happens? We at our level will have to strive for gender equality and issues concerning women. And I was very happy to look at the name you have given, Sangatya or Sangatya. And again, what is the meaning when you say Sangatya or Sangatya? Yes, companionship, coming together, joining. That is one part of the meaning of the word Sangatya. The other part is coming together, joining also for cohesive thinking, cohesive speaking, and gathering information, facts and figures and knowledge about certain things. So we are all here for that, right? We are all here for some knowledge, some information, some ideas that we are going to share as panelists. And the word Sangatya, now I begin my presentation. The word Sangatya brought to my idea that as early as 1980s, feminists came up with the idea of sisterhood, okay, community of women, because of the common criticism directed at women that women are women's own enemies. It was very easy to say, you have that tutu meme, mothers-in-law, daughters-in-law fighting with each other. So this very flippant statement, generalized statement of saying that women were enemies of women. Now this is a very complex relationship that women share with one another. Sometimes there is the psychological outcome of victim becoming a victimizer, and it's a complex process. So feminists way back in 1980s wanted to show that there is this concept of sisterhood of women, where women vibe with one another, understand the pain, the struggle of others, and they come up with the kind of bonding community feeling with other women. But more importantly, it was in 2014 that Emma Watson came up with the concept of he for she. You would have seen that, right? On social networking sites. Have you seen that or not? He for she. What does it mean? He for she. Now that is what you are doing today. Very often, whenever I've gone to Women's Day programs, very often it's kept only for girls. Not for boys.
Sorry for the interruption, ma'am. This is the first time we are inducting boys into this program.
Very good. So put your hands together, all boys for yourselves and all girls and boys for the organizers. So I have always felt the deficit in the idea itself that you keep it only for girls. What's the point in girls sitting and talking about their own problems without involving men in their solution? Men should be part of the solution and men shouldn't be the part of the problem, right? So I congratulate on this count as well. And this brings us to the concept of he for she. Now, the topic given to me is, Manoj, you have given me the topic of modern girls as trendsetters, right? So, I don't know, I was a little puzzled when I looked at the topic, modern girls as trendsetters. So probably Manoj wants me to think of myself when I was in my young days and look at my daughters and then probably compare the changed situation and how you can be trendsetters and whether we tried to be trendsetters at all. Now, some of your questions you can ask me when we move on to the panel, because I don't want to talk for too long. As my introductory remarks, I always feel question answer session is much more fruitful than the person taking the mic and addressing the gathering. But one thing I would like to say, if you have to be the trendsetter, you have to invest in yourself. UN says invest in women, accelerate progress. But if you have to be a trendsetter, you have to invest in yourself. And how do you invest in yourself? What would be your first investment? Education for employment. Without financial independence, none of us can achieve anything. So many women have their voices silenced because they have no financial independence. So if you have to be a trendsetter in any way, the first thing that you have to do is to ensure that you're educated, because education makes you employable. Maybe along with education, there is lateral education, learning that you have to do. You have two renowned masters of ceremonies on the days. The kind of communication skills that they have, and they don't have to depend on anything else. They have to depend on their own talents of communication skills, leadership abilities. And you have to invest on many other things if you have to be the trendsetter. For example, you need to know, even without the traditional setup, are you able to earn your own living? Do you have that ability to take risks? Do you have the mentality of saying that I will take it up without worrying? Do you have that kind of self-image in you? Now, if you have that kind of self-image, nothing is going to be impossible for you. Now, when we talk about modern girls trendsetters, I feel quite strange to think of some of the trendsetters right now, modern girls, who come under, within inverted commas, the category of influencers, right? Now, very often now I see many women introducing themselves as, I'm an influencer. I sit and wonder, what is this business of being an influencer? Okay, I have nothing against being an influencer in the field of fashion, where you upload many pictures in different costumes and you have many followers. You have followers not in lakhs, you have many more followers. Okay, all that is fine. But when you talk about yourself as an influencer, along with other abilities, are you intellectually gifted? Are you able to think on your own feet? Are you able to take independent decisions, informed decisions, decision-making power? Do you have all that? Only when you have all those strengths, you will be a trendsetter in the real sense of the word. So I am open to your questions later on, after the other two panelists put before you what are their concerns as people on this particular panel. And if you have any question for me later, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Back to Manoj.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, we can have a round of applause for ma'am. For next 4 minutes, Rochelle will present her point of view on motherhood, not a hurdle in the path of success.
Will it be okay if I sit and talk? That's sweet of you. Thank you so much, Manoj. Thank you for being precise also that I have only 4 minutes, out of which I think first 10 seconds are up. But anyways, the topic that's given to me today is modern motherhood, not a hurdle in success, isn't it? So modern motherhood, the minute I saw this big statement of modern motherhood, not a hurdle in the path of success, my first thought was, that's a long statement. Let me break it into 2 pieces. Let me take the first half of it. Modern motherhood. What's modern motherhood? I was like, okay, there's something called motherhood. Isn't it the same over the years? But why we are tagged, or why there is a phrase called modern motherhood? If there is something called modern motherhood, then what is the other thing? Ancient motherhood? Traditional motherhood? So when I started thinking about it, probably what, the topic was, given to me, or the gist of the topic, or the thought behind the topic would probably be motherhood in modern days. And motherhood in the times of probably our grandmothers or our great-grandmothers. So let us put it this way. And the first thought that came to me was, how is motherhood in the modern days different from motherhood in days back then? Are we thriving to bring up children in great virtues and values these days? Yes, most of the mothers are. Was it happening back in those days? In the times of our grandmothers and great-grandmothers? What do you think? Yes. Did our great-grandmothers or grandmothers manage to bring up children who became great professionals? They were doctors back then. They were engineers or advocates back then. So there have been women who have worked for it, to bring up their children to be able to be fit in certain roles of their profession. Is it the same thing that's happening now? Mothers these days, we also dream such things for our children, and we work to the best of our capacities in order to bring up our child to be having a great name in the society, in the professional or a career forefront. Do we, as mothers these days, work? Yes, we do. Did our ancient or traditional mothers work? I have a question for you. Did they work? Yes, they did. Our own grandmothers, one of my grandmother worked in a hospital. She worked as a maid in the Gulf. Another grandmother, that's my husband's grandmother, she has worked as a mother in a coffee plantation. So they've worked in paddy fields, they worked under the lords, they worked in various sectors, they worked as midwives, as nurses. So what makes modern motherhood and traditional motherhood so different? I guess it's not really the motherhood part of it, but it is the woman in them that they forget when they become a mother. They are so busy serving for everyone around them, including their children, that they forget that as an individual, as a woman themselves, they have forgotten their interests. They have forgotten to do justice to what great skills they imbibe, or they have, to a certain extent, kept aside certain great things in them that if they would have focused a little bit more on, they would have literally shown all over the world. Like, for example, my own mother-in-law, even to this day, she's a very intelligent lady. She's a very bright lady. Even to this day, she says, with studying a little bit in a Kannada medium up to class 7th, and then, migrating to Mangalore, living with the nuns, she speaks amazing English. Much more fluent than the other ladies I've seen grow up in a city like Mangalore with great colleges like Aloysius and Agnes. I have seen my mother-in-law's English-speaking skills. So she had that skill. But what stopped her? She got married at a very young age. Within no time, my husband was born. And then even now I say, why didn't you continue your education? She's like, back in those days, it didn't happen like that. One child was born, and after around 2 years, another child was born, and then I really never thought of getting back to it. So she had certain dreams. She wanted to always ride a two-wheeler. She always wanted to learn how to drive a car. She wanted to travel. She wanted to do so many things. The dreams were there. But what didn't happen was she didn't have a steady motto to actually fulfill those dreams. Unlike the modern mothers, we are able to segregate ourselves as mothers and as individual, as a woman that we are. So today, motherhood is a part of our life, but motherhood isn't a whole life. So we are able to segregate and diversify between the interests, and that is why probably we are more focused on our interests, on our skills that we want to develop, and we want to shine in the world. So this is what I wanted to put forth. That was the first part, and quickly ending up the second part, which is not a hurdle in the path of success. I don't know if you really meant, Manoj, that is success career-wise or any success. Now, for me personally, as a mother and as a woman, what is success? As much, for me, success is shining on the stage or being able to meet a lot of people, having a control over a group of gathering. For me, success is also being able to give that quality time to my child. For me, success is also being able to bring my child up in a way that everyone will say, oh yeah, that's Rochelle's son. And he is a wonderful child. He respects everyone around him. He knows how to mingle around in this world. So for me, success is not just career or not just anything else. For me, success on the whole means a lot of things. So for me, what success is, for you, what success is, for you, Manoj, what success is might differ. So I would say motherhood is definitely not a hurdle in the path of success. Else, having a sick child back home today, you wouldn't see me sitting here as a panelist. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rochelle. John has been asked to speak on, there's a cliched statement where behind every successful man, there is a woman. That's outdated, I believe. Alongside every successful man, there is a woman. So, John, next 4 minutes are yours. But a special request, please start your presentation by complimenting both these ladies in one word each.
You're putting me into a lot of trouble, Manoj. Okay, again, acknowledgement to all the facilities and the panel given to me today. So I feel like I'm back home. So this is the first time Rochelle is getting an opportunity to sit next to me and listen to my audio for the next 5 minutes uninhibited. So thanks for that opportunity as well. So coming to the topic, I would like to take a piece from Rochelle. It's about success, and I heard behind, and I heard women. So all these keywords are very important for me. So let me put success into perspective. You know me, Manoj, from probably at least 5 to 6 years now. You know me through Rochelle, isn't it? Success means very different things to me. So when I'm sitting here, probably what I've achieved in my married life, that is success. What I achieve with my basketball team every day, from day-to-day basis, when I see them grow from someone to someone else, is success. Just to see me being with my wife and sharing the same days as her is success. Probably it would have meant something else to my father. Probably it would have meant something else to my great-grandfather. Back in those days, success and women, all right, you could not, tag them together. Probably women were a part of a lot of families which thrived, which, have become very successful, very rich, very valuable over a period of days. But they would not be given so much acknowledgement back then. And it's not like women didn't have confidence to do more. Probably they were confident about themselves. They were just not giving themselves an opportunity to come out in the open and say, yes, I am a part of this. If Rochelle touched on it earlier, probably our predecessors, the women, did a lot more than we could ever imagine, bringing us up, taking care of those families. Probably our forefathers would have thought having 13 children is success. But bringing them up was a totally different ballgame. You'd have seen so many of our women, taking all those troubles. Women take a lot of nonsense over a period of years without complaining. The same thing happens now. I think most of our forefathers would have been divorced. Isn't it? So that was a tough time back then. So taking care of the cattle at home, taking care of children, husbands, they always played second fiddle to them, right? You would have seen movies in the past, right? You had an actor and a supporting actor. Did you ever see women overpowering the men in the past movies? Do you see them now? Don't you see women, running the show as the sole heroes or heroines in the movies? Isn't it? It happens. So the society has changed a lot. When I see Rochelle sitting next to me, sharing the same days, I cannot imagine my great-grandfather sitting with my great-grandmother and, speaking in Aloysius. That wouldn't have happened at all. So women were always second fiddle, but the contribution was immense. The reason why we are here today, in all our glory, is because of the four mothers that we have. It was a patriarchal society. If you see now, I come from a very humble background. I've had women, thankfully there are 5 women of significance at the moment. Obviously my grandmother, my mom's mother, my mom, they've all played their roles in the past. We have Rochelle now, who has played such a wonderful part from the last 8 years since we are married. My mother-in-law, my sister who is in Bangalore. they've all played their roles. So I get the best of all the worlds. So there is nothing to complain about. My mother-in-law, my mother and my wife, they play a very significant role in the family. It's like, who is taking the first cup of coffee from me? There is a challenge on that regards. So it's all nice, but when it comes to success, I would think women are not just next to you. They should be in front of you when there is a given time. I'll just give an example. I was down with dengue in October, and it was very bad. I almost ended up in the coffin. So it was very bad, and we just had a child who was obviously around 5 to 6 months of age. I was in the hospital, and I was, just struggling between my life and death. She handled it like it was nothing. She had to handle the child. She had to come and visit me at the hospital. I was in need of platelets and blood. I could not have taken any charge. All that I could do was lie down and look at the IVs dripping through my veins. But she took it up. She did not show any tension, any stress. I'm sure she was very hurt about it, and she did not know what would come next. But then she handled it like no one else could. I could not imagine being in that situation, right? She handled it home. She handled the kitchen, everything. It was a breeze for her. At the same time, I would also think, for the situations that we see around, most of my profession is in mentoring. I see a lot of single women having 2 children, divorcees, single mothers. They're just taking charge of their life and running it like it's nothing. I cannot imagine being in that situation without my wife taking care of those 2 children and running the show. And when I saw Rochelle, when we just met for the first time, obviously, just for your information, we have plenty of daylight when it comes to age. Okay, she was 19 years of age, and I was 29 years of age when we first met. So for your... Now you can reveal your actual age, present age. Yes. So obviously, people are very smart and calculating. They would have calculated that I'm 39 and she's 29. 30 of late. So when we first met, she was just 19 years of age. And you spoke about success. She was already a very popular host in Bangalore. She had her own apartment, which she had bought, of whose EMI she completed in 6 years. She had already provided for her own marriage. You know how much marriages cost. You just saw Ambani's son got married of late. Okay, she provided for the apartment, she provided for the marriage all by herself, which is a huge thing. I cannot imagine. So challenging my success with her success was never an issue. That is not even a topic to discuss about. But then there were certain things I felt this girl could take charge of something, and I'm no one to challenge her on those regards. She's much better at a few things than I am. Sometimes she needed to be behind me. Yes, I know my focus, and she had to be behind me to just give that nudge and a push when it's required the most. Sometimes it's just love, right? And you said women should be beside men, in this present era, which is always true. But you need women all around you at all times, and it's vice versa. It's the same for us as well, But to sum it up, I'm very happy to be in this situation. I could not have asked for better. So I get the proper nudge when it is required. I get that onus, that presence of mind. She's street smart, by the way. Just a compliment. Okay. Don't take it back home.
I'll still not allow you to get away with this because you've given that word to her now. We are still waiting for what adjective is coming in the way of Malini.
She's street smart. She gives that love. She gives that trust, and I feel magnified when I'm with her. So, yes. So, I'm not a dumb. Okay. So, thank you for the opportunity to just share my opinion about this, and we'll proceed for the next round.
One adjective for Malini ma'am, please. All right, you just complimented your wife. Now one adjective for ma'am, because I've got plenty of them.
Ma'am, you're graceful, you're thoughtful, and you gave me a very short time to speak.
All right. Okay.
So thank you for that.
Okay, yeah, thanks, John. Thanks. On the much-awaited Q&A session, we've got few questions that's coming from my side, and then we'll open the forum to you. We'll start with Malini, ma'am. If you could just pass on the mic to ma'am. Yeah, ma'am, when you started your career as a lecturer and as a public speaker, maybe there might be a stigma attached that there are few professions which are only reserved for men. So how did you overcome that challenge? And we've got one minute each when the questions are asked for our panelists. Yes.
You mean to say in the field of
As an
public
academician
speaking?
as well as public speaking.
No, as an academician, I must say that right from the beginning, this has been a very traditional job, that is teacher's job. It has been reserved for women, so there was no problem.
I'm saying in the
with
context
that.
of our college, wherein they said it was a boys' college back then, and a lady lecturer will never be able to control these notorious fellows. That was the trend then. So in
Anyway,
that
I was in Agnes, so I had only girls. And I didn't have to control them. I don't know about boys. But I must say that...
our boys must have been there in Agnes as well.
No. They might have been there in KG. I do not know. Agnes allowed boys at KG level and PG level because they thought every other stage would be dangerous, I think. I don't know. But now they have allowed. They have grown wiser, I must say, because it is always nice to have a mixed crowd instead of only girls and only boys. Anyway, that is a deviation. Why do we talk about traditional jobs? The very fact of a woman working was not acceptable. In my family, I was the first one to become a professional at that point of time. And now when I look back, I'm surprised that I thought I had to wait for my husband's permission, okay? And I waited for days together before I could break the news to him and tell him that in Agnes there was a post, and I was approached by one of my neighbors asking me whether I could take up that job, and I had to wait for that muhurta, okay, to see that he was in a very happy mood, and he would say yes to me, and very gingerly I approached the subject, and when he said, Agnes, he was also happy, girls' college. Remember, I was much younger then, all right? I was just 22. So he was happy that I opted for Agnes, and very magnanimously he said, huh. And I thought he was being very kind, very generous. Now when I look back, I wonder. I mean, I was helping him, right? Financially, I was helping him bring up a family in a very sound manner. I'm sure now he is happy that I worked, earned for my family, brought up my children with all the wants being fulfilled. So the very fact that we are conditioned. We are conditioned into thinking that we need permission. We don't need permission, but we need to discuss the matter. I don't mean to say that I can just say, yes, I'm taking it up without discussing the situation with my spouse. I need to do that. We need to discuss things and come to the conclusion as to what extent I would get support from him and what's the kind of adjustment that we have to make on the home front. All that we need to do. But we have to get out of this mental makeup that we need permission as such from others. The choice should be entirely mine because it is my life that I'm going to decide by saying yes or no to a position. But those days, as I said, I was the first one in the family to start working. So I thought it was very kind on the part of my husband. So that was the idea then. But now it has changed. I think all of you are career-minded, aren't you? All girls here. And all boys also want working women, don't you? Do you or do you not? I'm sure that you would, because times are very difficult now. Financially also, if both of you work, it's going to be of use to both of you. I don't think anybody will grudge the kind of income that they would have from their wife. I'm sure of that.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Now, Rochelle, two things. One, there's always a kind of belief that when 1,000 or more than 1,000 people are seated in front of you and you are the host, you need one commanding male voice which can control this crowd rather than a graceful lady taking up the mic, because event management is a men-dominated industry. So how did you manage this? And also, I can club one more question. When you had to interact with other men, how did you manage to have that professional approach? Maybe you had to take someone's lift, or maybe you have to ask for a help from someone at some point. So how did you manage this in event management industry?
So in an industry like ours, that's event management. Now, I stepped into this industry when I was in my PU, I think, or I just finished my PU. So that's like 12 years or close to 13 years from now. One thing what I saw was, yes, it was a male-dominated industry back then. And Mangalore being a very small place, when I started off, we were hardly, I think, 3 or 4 female MCs that were there. And now every other woman, takes up events, and, there are so many female MCs, especially in the social gatherings, that's family parties and things like that. Now, first answering your question as to the number, that's the crowd, a huge crowd, and how you think only a man can really take that charge of such so many people put together. Let me be very clear on this. As an MC, you are not just putting yourself with that loud voice of yours. It's not the volume there that matters. I can be as loud as possible, but be expressionless, just blabber something, get everyone there bored, and come back home. Or I can be there with a voice of great modulation, having modulation, put in my statements whenever possible, in my speech whenever possible. I can pick out on certain sarcasm, healthy sarcasm. I can be spontaneous and joke a little bit here and there, a tinge of humor to bring out a little bit of a laugh or a smile on people's face. People would still prefer the second MC. Now, is a dominating voice required? Absolutely yes, when it comes to huge gatherings. But today technology is so good, it's not just like 2 speakers and a mic. There are split sounds, there are so many varieties of sound systems that have come. I think any volume at which you speak, there are sound engineers who will make sure that your voice reaches out to people. So for me, I believe it's that presence of yours that matters. Commanding voice is needed, because I still remember back at my maturity age, a lot of people in my school always making fun of me, like, you've got a manly voice. And the n number of customer care calls where every time I have to keep, telling them, it's not sir, I'm a ma'am. It's not sir, I'm a ma'am. So I've had these incidences where I felt like, oh God, what a failure I am when it comes to my voice. But today I thank God for this voice. I can shut any man's mouth with my voice. Not my husband's, of course. He has much louder voice than me. But when people make vague statements, or when the other person is not listening or they're not able to get your point, my voice sometimes does the magic. I can master it with my voice. So I'm happy that I have a loud voice or a dominating voice, but then that is not the whole and soul of being an MC, is what I want to tell you.
John, you're a successful entrepreneur. Let's not go there. They are into key making business nearby Ganapati School. They have got their shop. Whenever you get time, you please visit. That's a different aspect altogether. But you don't go on stage for your profession. Yeah, but your wife does. Was there any situation where somebody came and told you, your wife is much more popular than you are? How did you react?
I was aware of that before they came to me in the first place. So I'm not going to goof up and say, no, I am more popular than her. Obviously, if you look at the Instagram followers that she has and the number of followers that I have, I feel like, I'm poverty-stricken. So it was not like something that, it was not something that I was not aware of. I acknowledge that, and I've told that right in the beginning. See, look, this is your profession, and this is how young you are. There are more things than just the profession. Age was a big determining factor, and even when I got married to her, it wasn't that I was not looking for people who are much older than her. Actually met her as a client. She came to me for a job change, and I was mentoring her on those regards. And then suddenly all those boxes ticked, and I made up my mind and I asked her out. So it was her saying yes first, and then we started dating. So that was how it was in the beginning. And if you look at me and if you look at her, probably she is much more attractive than I am.
All girls strictly disagree with this statement.
Forget about the girls. She'll put me into a lot of trouble. Yes. So if you look at my college photos, right? That is a totally different story. It's a totally different discussion for another day. I wouldn't have minded her.
Just the point is, when people are being sarcastic to you,
I take that. because it will only matter to me if probably I would have thought otherwise. Now, since I know the actual fact, actual truth, probably I'm not one of those public figures that you're talking about. I come out in 3 different rupas, right? At the basketball coach, I'm different attire, different personality. If you look at me at the key shop, I look more like mechanical worker. If you look at me in this kind of a place, I look totally different. So people sometimes wonder if this is the same person we are looking at. So they give you that gaze and see, where have I looked at this person?
So were there any cases that they have attended your session and the same person came to the key shop and you got completely...
Yes. They asked me whether I have another twin. So we look that different. So it never mattered to me. I never will.
You just accepted it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Malini ma'am, you have enjoyed success and fame. For some reason, if not everyone, for some reason, there's one mindset that the moment man is successful, everything is attributed to his hard work. The moment a girl is successful, that too in a short span of time, then people draw some interpretations like there must be a compromise, there must be a shortcut. And I guess it's still in 2024, you get to hear occasionally. So what's your take on this?
First of all, I must say I have not been as successful as you made it sound. And when I look at you, 2 very successful masters of ceremony, I keep wondering what I did with myself when I was the master of ceremony. All right. I came back from quite a few functions with the idol of Ganapati as my payment. I was never remunerated as you people are now being remunerated. So I won't go by that definition of success. And I would like to tweak the idea itself, in fact. It's not when it is success, Manoj. I think the problem is more with your failure. When a man fails, it becomes the failure of that particular man. When a woman fails, it becomes a problem of all women. They say, see, she has failed because women are failures. When a man fails, they say, see, he has failed because it is his failure. That is more prevalent. But if you believe in your question of success as to why they raise their eyebrows when a woman becomes successful, I'm sure it's not raising eyebrows at her success as such per se, okay? It's still the setup that is wondered upon. Any one of you, have you watched Indra Nooyi's interview with David Bradley, which became very famous under the title, Women Can't Have It All? Have you watched that? There she very clearly says, the biological clock of a woman is never in tandem with her professional clock, because when we have to go up professionally, we become mothers, our progress gets stalled, we have to give up many things, and our professional success cannot go along with our personal commitments that we have to maintain. And she says that how the support system on the home front will have to be very, very strong for a woman. And she also says even in the office, how her colleagues helped her and all that. And that is how she could attain that kind of success. But if you're talking about common women like me, whether our eyebrows get raised when a woman is successful, I don't really believe in that notion. Are you trying to tell me that they think that a woman uses, as the saying, as the joke goes, at a traffic signal, if a woman is stopped by the police, she smiles and she uses her personal charm to see that she goes without a fine being imposed on her? Are you suggesting a setup of that kind where women are accused of using their personal charm for success? Are you referring to that particular point where women use their personal charm to be successful? Is that what you're trying to question me on?
No, just a kind of a thing that, we are finding it very difficult to accept that she must have gone in a conventional hardworking way. Now, say, for example, in film industry, we have a concept of casting couch.
Okay.
Right. And in different things, there are concepts. So in that context, but there could be one or two who might be taking that route.
That's what. So what you're suggesting is a woman is often accused of using her personal charm instead of her ability. And if a woman goes high on the rungs of success, it is said that it's not because of her talent, not because of her hard work, but because she has probably used her personal charm to get things in an easy manner. Whether that happens, not in my setup, because I have been a teacher, maybe in other places, especially as you have referred to film industry, or maybe in other setup where you have that kind of customer and the person who is working, that kind of relationship. But I don't think it is actually the truth. Even in the film industry, when you talk about the casting couch and all that, I don't really think it has the implication that, yes, the implication that probably you have in your mind or others have in their mind. I think it is all right. As I go back to Indra Nooyi, she says all of us will have to work with this immigrant mentality, women. We must work that much harder than men do to be successful. That I agree. We must work twice as hard as men do to be even half as successful as men are, because as John said, society itself is patriarchal. That I agree. We are still in a patriarchal society, male-dominated society. So in order to be successful, we have to be twice as hardworking as men are. But for that, I don't agree with the statement that women are accused of using their charm to be successful in their life.
My last set of questions before we open the forum. We'll ask Rochelle. We did discuss about your professional life, but then sometimes when there are turbulent situations in the personal life as well, I don't want to go there, but I guess it kind of an educative curve for all our students, that when you had to go through a major health crisis wherein 75 people were waiting to donate the blood, as there was one point of time. So you decide how much to share, and what was the support you received from John?
So for the ones who looked very, very puzzled at what happened that 70 people had to come and donate blood, not really. God's grace, it was only one platelet donor that was needed at that point. But thanks to all those Instagram followers and Facebook followers that I had, the news went like fire. So this is about my first pregnancy, when I carried the pregnancy for a good close to 5 months completion. I was just hitting the 6th month, and unfortunately I had a health complication due to which I had to have an emergency cesarean section, and the child was too small to be continuing to live. So we have a child back in heaven, they're praying for us. So that is where probably Manoj was getting to. Yes, now that was a time when I was like a dead body. It was an emergency surgery. I had no idea what was happening around me. I had, those platelets that had gone down so low that doctors were in a dilemma whether they could, it was just like some of these movies where they say, no, bacha bach sakta hai, nahi to maa bach sakti hai. But here in this case, it was like both of them might not live. One is surely not living. The child is not living, but the mother is also a 90-10 chance. So 90% the mother is not going to live, and that was me. And at that deathbed, what I realized was, for us women, married women especially, you need a strong support system. Anyone at that juncture like mine could go depressed for life, could just go mentally drained in such a way that would not see a path in the future. I remember, even at that point of time, people were not aware that I've just lost a child, or people were not aware that I'm in the hospital. I've got calls and I've got messages saying, can you host my event in December? So this thing happened in February. And I'm showing my husband the messages. I'm like, see, I think they do not know. I'm going to even cancel the events that I've taken already. So for us, bookings come like a year before. I remember telling him, please call all my clients, refund their booking advances, and tell them I'm not going to host events. That was me. We women fall weak at times. We don't know what's happening. But the one person that stood by me strong was this man. That's my husband. He said, I am there. He said, you will be fine. You will bounce back. You are going to rock the stage like never before. Just don't lose hope. And it is not like one sentence and I was like, okay, fine, convinced. No, I can be really mentally draining. me myself. So I was mentally drained. I have mentally drained him also by saying constantly, pestering him. No, I can't do it. No, I can't. My no, I can't do it were much more than yes, I can do it. And I did that even after my second child was born, and after, during that postpartum period, all 40 days I've been like, with a child like this, I cannot go back to the stage ever again. Because every time I would look at my child was crying in those first 40 days. I cannot do this. The happy face of my child, you saw that time, saying bye to everyone in that picture. He was nothing like it in the first few months. So I was like, I cannot. I have to be with this child throughout the year, feeding. I cannot get back to this stage. And that was again when my husband stood by me as a rock. And at that point, I realized that at some stages for women, than women being for women, if the man of your life is there for you a little bit, for some it might be your father, for some it might be your husband, for some it might be your brother. But for me, a major role of my life has been played by my husband. And I have seen the path of success, or I have seen how my days have been pleasant thereon, all thanks to the support I have received from my husband, not just physically, but mainly, most importantly, mentally.
All right, thank you. I knew that it would go to this point, but this is something really motivating. John, Rochelle made it sound like marriage is a walk in the park, but only men knew that it is a Jurassic Park. Now, the point here is most of the time there could be disagreement, and one important issue is the financial affairs of the family. One statement is both need to have compatibility. You need to know what her earnings are and vice versa. There's one more argument. If at all you reveal all your financial dealings transparently, there might be some unreasonable demands like world tour and all. Okay, what's your take on this about the financial transparency when both of them are working?
Thankfully, I wouldn't have that problem because she earns much more than me. So if she plans to go to Europe or the US or whatever, next thing you'll know is she'll book the tickets and leave without my knowledge. Just to keep these jokes apart, it's a very important question that you asked, Manoj. I don't know about everyone else, but I can speak for myself. The day we met, we believed in total transparency. So I had told her right in the beginning, look, I'll be as honest as water, and I expect the same from you. So thankfully, by nature, she's very honest. And whatever terms that she had to put in, the one thing I had to be rest assured was what her plans were. Because if I had spoken to her when she was 25, it was a totally different ball game. I spoke to her when she was 19. So it's probably your age group, the ones who are sitting here. So you can imagine what would be going in your mind then. It would be, am I saying the right things at the moment, which is supposed to last for a lifetime? Or is my mind going to change over a period of time? One thing I knew about myself was what I was going to do. So I wanted that to fit the scheme of things. Financial question that you asked, the first thing that she asked me was, what's your source of income? When we first met. And I like that question a lot because not many people are direct about asking it. It would run in most of your minds, isn't it? So the ones whom you're going to date or are already dating, that would be one of the first things that you would ask in your mind. You may not directly ask it. Over a period of time, you'll come to know the spending power and what are the aims and objectives of this person's life. It's very important to actually share without any inhibitions your bank balance, your source of income, because we have seen a lot of couples falter because of that. Right? You give an impression, you wear a nice tuxedo and go out for a date in a good 5-star hotel. You are impersonating someone like a Dhirubhai Ambani's son or grandson. After marriage, it's not the case. Right? We have seen so many people getting fraudulent inquiries about proposals and everything. So it's very important to actually share, not because something bad is going to happen. It could be such a situation where you're earning 1 lakh per month and the demands may be of 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs. Amdani attani karcha rupaya. It could be that situation. So if the wife is ready for a man and is ready to survive within that, whatever that you're getting, that cup of coffee, and it tastes good to her, well and good. So that is my perspective.
All right. Okay, now it's time to open the forum to the audience. If somebody could help me with passing this mic. We have 6 students who have already asked when we shared the areas of expertise of our resource person. They were ready to ask these questions, and 6 students were told us they got the questions. We'll start with the first question. Yes, please, Icy.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is to Dr. Malini. So, ma'am, how has your communication skills and your journey in the Toastmasters helped you in shaping your journey as a whole?
Okay, first of all, let me say that there is no end to learning. And I always tell myself that one of the ways in which you can make up for aging is by learning. I'm a perpetual learner, and I always describe myself as a piece of sponge, ready to absorb from everyone. So right from the beginning, even when I was a student, like all of you, I used to take part in many competitions, especially elocution competitions. I must say you perhaps don't realize the importance of taking part in elocution competitions, debates, or for that matter, St. Aloysius College has Toastmasters here, right? Many of you might not have understood the importance of joining an organization like Toastmasters. It's going to help you immensely. Fortune 500 companies have Toastmasters Club in them. And when you send your resume up, the minute they see that you are a Toastmaster, it's going to have a positive impression, because if you go by soft skills and your technical knowledge, all companies give importance for soft skills rather than your technical knowledge. You go to any company for that matter, and your promotion depends on your soft skills, of which communication skills would play a major role, than your technical knowledge. That is why you must use the platform everywhere, and I did it. And it's not a miraculous capsule that you swallow, right? Communication is a very slow process. Just as you can't jump into a swimming pool and say, I will start swimming, or climb onto a cycle and say, I will start riding. You need to practice. The problem is that you don't look at it as a skill to be enhanced and practiced. You think that you will get it on your own. No. You need to expose yourself to more and more such experiences. You must get yourself trained by joining organizations in small or big ways, speakers club or whatever it is, or take the opportunity as your MC did this morning by becoming the master of ceremony. Every speaking opportunity that you get is in one way or another contributing towards your overall efficacy, I must say, as a communicator. So it does not happen overnight. It's a slow process.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Some wise man has given her the title Shashi Tharoor of Mangalore. All right. Okay. Next question, please.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone here. So my question is to Rochelle, ma'am. Ma'am, which is the most memorable incident in your MC career? And did you ever feel that you have made a little impact on someone's life?
Well, most memorable, as in I do not have one or two incidences as such. At every event that I have performed, I've always aimed to give my 100%. And I'm glad that over the years I have given my 100%, be it a very small gathering or be it like a wedding having 2,000 to 3,000 people. I have given my best. Now, when do I know that I have really made a difference? It is only when we get that feedback, not just from the clients, but also from the audiences. It's when they, personally message you, or they, at a very random point of time when they see you somewhere, they say, I spotted you at this wedding. I couldn't meet you then, but then the way you handled the crowd, the way you managed, it all was good. And it's when you receive the feedback or the review is when you know that you have made a difference. So I wouldn't put it forth as to one or two incidences that are most memorable for me. But I have got a very good memory, just to tell you. Yeah, he knows it. So if you tell me that I have seen you at so-and-so person's wedding, I will remember what outfit I'd worn for that event, what set of shoes I'd worn at that event, and what are the certain situations that happened at that wedding. Like maybe instead of a champagne bottle, there was a whiskey bottle that was placed. the first gift he gave to me was a good handshake in his office before asking me out. I'm like, who asks somebody out in their office by giving a handshake? So that is the first ever gift, but I take it as a gift, it's okay, as long as we've lasted, it's all fine. But then, yeah, that's there's no certain memorable thing as such. But I do have some funny incidences that have happened. Share one. Yeah, I'll remember something. Yes.
Next question. Yes.
Is it coming for you?
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is for Mr. John. Some believe that women needs to work or have a career only to have financial stability for the family. What's your take on it, sir?
Thank you for the question. It's not so much of stability for the family. I always encouraged women to work and earn their livelihood because it gives that edge when it comes to, push come to shove kind of situations. For example, if Rochelle wasn't earning today, would it have been a very comfortable thing for me? I don't think so. I'll tell you what goes on in my mind now. When I say women, I mention the women next to me always because that is the live example that I get always. If something happens to me tomorrow, obviously I have insurance and everything. I am pretty certain that she will run the show, 100%. And she would run in the best of capacity, use her money for the best of her ability and best of her knowledge, best of her wisdom, and then move forwards just like we have planned over the last few years. If at all that wasn't the case, if I had a woman next to me who's married to me but not earning, I would have been dead 2 or 3 years back. It would have put me under so much immense stress that I could not have planned for tomorrow as well as we are planning today. Just for an example, we were planning for an investment a few years back. And she said, don't worry. If at all it's not possible for you, we'll share the burden. And if it's totally not possible for you, I will share the entire burden. So that gave me a comfort zone wherein I could just place my confidence on her and make things tick. Another thing which troubles me a lot, this I've shared with her also. It's not about passing out. It's about staying alive without being able to do the things that you're doing right now. Right? That will be a situation where your insurance won't work and you'll be as good as a vegetable at home without being useful to many things. So that will be adding as a burden. For everyone, let me tell you this. Dying is not the problem with insurance. But staying alive, disabled is a big problem. So remember this. So if you have anyone for that matter, it's not like just for married people, right? Even if you have a companion, if you have a father or a mother who is actually planning to work, let them work as much as they can. Be it your mother, old mother who wants to work, whatever it may be, just encourage her more because that is what they need. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, sir.
Question? Pass the mic.
Good afternoon to everyone. My question to Ms. Malini ma'am. So in this modern trend, many women prioritize their career over then personal decisions like motherhood or marriage. So my question is, how to have a balanced approach in this regard?
No, I don't think there is the question of balanced approach. The question is of choice. Now, if a woman chooses her career and chooses not to become a mother, and she discusses it with her husband and both of them come to that conclusion, it is their choice. I don't think we can sit in judgment of anybody because my own cousin's daughter has decided not to have children, not because of the career that she has chosen. It's a choice both husband and wife have made. So it always, whatever it is, when it comes to women, everything comes down to the question of choice, informed choice. Now, if I want to be a career woman, yes, I make that choice. If I want to be a homemaker, I make that choice. The choice is mine. But that choice can be made with a discussion with my partner. Supposing, as John said, there is some kind of financial commitment on the part of the whole family. and the husband wants that financial support, and the wife says, I want to give up my career and I want to be a homemaker, maybe they have to take a decision knowing what is there in stock for them in the future, and whether it is all right for the woman to sit back and say, I will be a homemaker, and expect the husband to be the earning member. You see, that is the traditional idea, that the husband can be the earning member. And he has to, whether he likes it or not, he has to be the earning member. Now, the very minute we have such traditional ideas, it shows that we are not actually into total liberation or total empowerment of women. Just as we are conditioned, men are also conditioned. We expect always men to be the breadwinners. Why? Not necessary. A man needn't always be the breadwinner of the family, right? A woman also can be the breadwinner of the family. So it all depends on the situation. It all depends on the choice that you would like to make in your life. Nothing should be imposed on either the husband or the woman. And if you are talking about marriage, and if you're not talking about something outside marriage, I would say a healthy discussion and a healthy conclusion as to what is best in the given situation for both of them.
Last two questions, maybe. One last question before we wind up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is for John, sir. There was a perception earlier that for every divorce, woman is the reason, and has this changed? Has this thought process changed over the years?
For every divorce, women is the reason. I think you're asking this to the right person, because I'm not saying I'm an expert at divorce, but I've handled a lot of mentoring cases with divorce. Of late, what we see is a lot of young couples in the span of 6 months, a year, some of them as early as 2 months or a couple of days getting divorced, separated. Is it the reason that women are doing something quite chaotic? No. What usually happens is, women are the ones who actually go and file the case, okay, or file a petition that these things are happening in my life. Usually men, what happens is our ego comes in between, right? Even before we get married, we don't actually think of the specific things that are very important in our lives. We try to impress, right? It took me a long time to get my first, I wouldn't even say girlfriend. She wasn't even a girlfriend. I just asked her and she said yes. I never had a girl for, say, 29 years of my life. It would be surprising or shocking to a lot of people. It's not that I did not have any, friends, very close friends of mine, but never really came close to that relationship status. But the problem is, how open are we to discussing very important things in life? We are not, right? Women ask a lot of questions. By nature, women are very inquisitive, right? There are a lot of women who probably have a lot of expectations out of you. So when you go out on dates, we don't discuss these things. We only discuss those, Hollywood stories, right? And where are we going next and all that. So who actually becomes a victim? I cannot imagine myself going and saying, okay, she's harassing me day in, day out, I'll get divorced. 9 out of 10 cases, that doesn't happen, right? It is women who come to us and say, see, look, this is the situation with our relationship today. Then we try to mentor them out, try to get both of them together on different platforms sometimes, discuss over very specific important things. And usually what happens is, when the actual petition goes from place 1 to place B, men will come out and give some accusations. Okay, her character was not right. Okay, she had a lot of expectations. She used to torment me day in, day out. She had an extramarital affair. All those things come once the petition has been filed. So before that, no one goes to the court, no one goes to the police station or anything saying harassment. It doesn't happen. So I don't think women are the reason for that. But I feel women are the people who take the initiative. For me, divorce is like a second marriage, right? There's nothing wrong about it. The main bottom line is there honor and love in the relationship? It's the same with all those things. Even if you meet a friend, if the friend makes you feel twice your size, magnify you, your self-esteem goes sky high, that is the place to be. But if at all you go down and stoop to the very level and you become like a clan, okay, that is when you need to say, this is not the place for me. So you have to be very particular. Communication is very important. So women are not the reason, but women are the first people to go and put their foot forward and say, yes, divorce. Right. That's what I can say. Thank you for the question.
But I'd love to take some more questions. Can we wind up? Yeah, but we're seriously running short of time. Big thank you to Malini ma'am. She's such an inspiration. I'm a part of the same Toastmasters Club, Port Town Advanced Toastmasters. So thank you so much, ma'am. And for the Fernandez, this is more of a family affair. Rochelle's sister is here. If you could please stand. I will not ask you to speak, all right? She is studying BCom here in our college. So it was a completely Fernandez Coelho family affair so a big thank you to two of you. I just, we can have a round of applause before we go for the formal vote of thanks. I'd like to end this with a quote which I read yesterday. No advice for girls. They're perfect. All right. At least we'll assume as perfect. For boys, there's something which I read yesterday. Being a male is a matter of birth. Being a man is a matter of age. Being a gentleman is a matter of choice. I'd like to conclude. Thank you.